welcome back to the Week in Review. There was a lot of heat there. I hope there was some light out there to you in terms of what you learned from this interaction. But it is a very hot issue down at LA City Hall, and we'll talk about it over the next few weeks on the Week in Review and each of the Week in Reviews. Joining me now is Mike Feinstein. Congratulations, Councilmember-elect of the great city of Santa Monica.
Thank you very much.
Boy, you really pulled it off. Here you come out of nowhere. First you cut your ponytail and get out of your sweats and put on a suit, but you were starting with Ralph Nader, and I guess the Green Party won.
Yes, finished second.
In a lot of places.
A lot of places, yeah. This city was a big one for us. I finished second. There were 4 seats out of 13 candidates. Yeah. We won 6 out of 7 city council races here in California.
Amazing.
In Arcata, our first city council majority in the United States. And what it shows is, as a strategy to break through in this country, our local-based strategy is working. Okay, saying that, what is a Green Party council member in Santa Monica's agenda, and how are you going to make this agenda happen among your colleagues? There's 7 on that council. Yeah, I think 2 things. One, the idea of a truly sustainable development in our community. We've had a great deal of commercial growth over the last 20 years. We haven't kept up on our parks, our open spaces. We haven't tied it to public transit, etc. So try and push that sort of thing. Number 2, overall democratization of the city process. Expand the power of people in the neighborhoods, more information, more voice for residents.
Great. And Mary has been covering this for the great paper, The Outlook. First question.
One of the things that Mike brought up a lot in his campaigning was public transportation. And he talked about shuttles and different things that we can do, but one of the things I didn't hear him talk about is a regional approach to public transportation. It's been a very volatile issue, getting the red line to come to the west side. What do you think about that? How can that happen? How can you make that work?
Well, first in 89, 90, I was very active when we had a chance at getting the Expo Rail Line to come to Santa Monica, and I would love to see it happen, and I hope to get involved on the Southern California Association of Governments Transportation Board to try and make that happen. If and until that happens, I think we need to slow down the commercial development, because we're creating transit patterns, east-west transit patterns with all the office space we're building, which people aren't going to have public transit to use, so they're going to be driving in, causing more problems, and also putting more pressure on our affordable housing market. So while I will try and work to bring transit in, I'm going to try and slow down the development until we can be sure that we have the transit to handle it.
Some people would be concerned also with your position on development. I mean, we have Playa Vista going on, we have other things, the whole office district in Santa Monica. I mean, if you want to put a stop to development, where is Santa Monica going to go? How are we going to grow?
Well, I think that, number one, with all the development we've had in these 20 years, we haven't expanded our open space. We're over 50 acres short. A sustainable community balances those sort of needs. If we just have 1 million people in the Bayside, but there's no public spaces to go because there's no parks in the neighborhoods, what's the benefit? Every time we override the negative environmental considerations in the EIRs, we do it because there's supposed to be economic benefit. Where was the dividend? I don't see it. So I think we have to stand up for that dividend. Number 2, I think that we need in Santa Monica, and I will push for this, to come to lawsuit to stop phases 2 and 3 in Playa Vista. I think that the kind of pass-through traffic on Lincoln Boulevard through the Sunset Park neighborhood is unacceptable. It's the wrong project. And the city of LA, after the city burned in '92, should have redirected development into the center city, not building another elite community on the west side.
Let me raise a separate but broader point. Because the Green Party was as successful as it was this time in California, where do you go from there? How do you build on it? Because certainly nationally your impact was zip.
Well, I wouldn't say the impact is zip nationally, but I'll take the first part of your question first. We now have 11 sitting city council members, when counting myself, and 22 office holders around the state. I think as a model to break through, that should be very instructive, and I think we have to continue to try and expand city by city and to start networking our different office holders so that we can broaden the approach of what a sustainable development is. So that in and of itself. Number 2, just briefly on the national level, the fact is nobody knew about the Green Party a couple of years ago. With the Nader candidacy, thousands of people who are green but didn't know we existed have come in. We shifted from 6 states with ballot status to 11 states. We are growing, our infrastructure is there, and the kind of quality people who had not decided to leave the two-party system in the past are now doing that and coming into us. It's a long-term strategy that is effective.
California remains your base state, though.
One of the major ones, yes, definitely.
I'd like to have an idea as to how you expect to be able to finance some of the proposals that you're making. I was born and brought up in Santa Monica, so I'm no stranger to the city. My family lived there virtually all their lives. And it just interests me, if you don't have any development at all, as to where do you expect to have a resource for additional revenue, because most of the citizens there are seniors. Something like 80% of the population are renters. They're certainly not people of substantial means. Tell me about your recommendation for the future.
Yeah, our utility tax is really high, so I agree with you. I don't want to see us taxing more people. I think there's three places. One, we do have to look at city government. Everybody says they want to make it more efficient. Certainly it makes sense to do that, and I wonder how much help do we give to the developers with city funding and whether that's really paying back. Number two, we are in line for some significant amount of earthquake redevelopment money from tax increment zone over the next 20 years. Some of that I think should be going towards parks. Third, from a green perspective, in contrast to how Democrats and Republicans have been looking at development to say simply more is better and that's how we get more money, I want to start looking at ways where we can keep money in the community to promote more locally owned businesses and other forms so that money can multiply and circulate in Santa Monica. The more that money stops leaving outside the community and stays in the community, the less we have to develop more, the more that money will have the multiplier effect.
Well, a couple of things that Mike's not bringing up, though, is the fact that we have Prop 218, which has kind of handcuffed the city's ability to raise revenue. And the other thing is that the Prop EE didn't pass this time on the ballot. So you have that whole big project at 29.5, well, the bond was 29.5 million, the project's $41.9 million. You have that whole big thing to pay for as well. I mean, like she said, where are you going to get the revenues to do it?
Do you have any special programs designed or specifically that you're going to do to create these revenues?
Of course, I just won the election 2 days ago.
Minute,
so,
Welcome to the world of
yeah,
incumbency.
definitely. Obviously, we're going to have to make some choices. But I do think the idea of trying to keep money in the community and having that recirculate rather than leaving to foreign owners, and foreign, I mean just people outside of Santa Monica, really needs some looking at. And that has happened in a lot of cities around the planet. I'm not going to spill all the beans now. I want to try and bring things in slowly to the community. But I think unless we look at that approach, it's simply going to be build to the skies to get spiraling expenses and costs. And that there's no limit to that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Congratulations again, and we're looking forward to watching you in action there in that city council, and also the Green Party and how it develops. I want to thank the panel for being with me during this lively hour on the issues of the day. Appreciate it very much. And I especially want to thank you out there for sharing your time with us. God bless you, and bye-bye.